Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? You done messed up, Ron.
Ron is right here. I'll tell you, the only one who done messed up this time, once again, is David Miscavige, Scientology, and their bungling private investigators. Welcome back to some more SPTV, you guys. And if you're watching this live, do me a favor, hit the like button right now. Hit that early. It helps. It seems to help notifications. It seems to help make sure YouTube pushes out notifications to everybody who's asked for it. And also, speaking of YouTube's notifications and its algorithm, if you're watching this video live, please do me a favor. When this video is over and it brings up the recommended videos, click on one more of my videos. Not just because I want you to watch as many of my videos as possible, but it is suspected that it's a signal to the algorithm that when I'm watching content like X, other content that I'm interested in is Y. Anyway, the algorithm has been a little problematic lately. So guys, this morning, I finally, for the first time ever, was able to bust a Scientology private investigator who was surveilling my home. I've been getting reports for the last month and a half, 2 months, that PIs have been hanging around the house, the block, the neighborhood for the last 6 months. People didn't let me know about this because they assumed that I already knew. And ever since finding out that this was happening, I've been asking everybody in the neighborhood, send me photographs, call me as soon as you see these guys. I want to catch them on video. And I finally did. Let me show you the video, and then I will give you a little bit of the back story. And I'll get to super chats after the main body of this thing. So here we go.
There he is. Well, let's see what's going on. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Hey, what's your name, buddy?
Awesome.
Woo!
The original video was actually longer, and I edited it down because what happened, here's the context. A few different versions of the context here. I started my video even before I left my house. And after I showed the video to a few people, they were like, you may not want to publish a video that shows like exactly which house you live in, exactly what your house looks like, and everything else. Like, okay, that's a good point. I mean, it's not hard to find out where anybody lives these days, but why make it easy on everyone? So, but the reason I started the recording before I left the house is because I wanted to make it clear. You know, sometimes when you see a video on the internet and you're like, oh, the video starts here, we don't know anything that happened before this point. How do we even know this is your block? How do we even know, this guy was here for you? And I know that I would have those questions if I saw a video without much context. So I started recording before I left my house. And what I said in that recording was, I said, okay, guys, here's what's happening. I just got a phone call from one of my neighbors that said the PI is back, white Toyota Tacoma, 4-door. He was here at 9:30 in the morning. Then he left. Now he's back. And I wanted to tell the camera before I walked out the door, this is the car that we're looking for. And I said, the last time I got this exact same phone call, I also started recording before I even got in my truck. And yet in that previous instance, when I backed out of my driveway, the truck saw me back out and he pulled forward and he made a turn. And anyway, I explained to the camera the exact turn and everything. And I said, so that's what happened last time. Let's see if that's what happens this time. And also, there's a certain amount of skepticism that I've always had about whether these PIs were really being spotted, because every time somebody tells me they've been spotted, by the time I get there 3, 4, 5 minutes later, they're long gone, except for that previous instance. Okay, so I pull out of my driveway. I back out of my driveway, and I'm driving forward towards the intersection where the guy was parked near. And I say to the camera, I said, crap, I don't see him. And then I start pulling closer to the intersection, and that's when you hear me say, oh, there he is. I expected him to be parked right at the intersection. I didn't expect him to be parked behind another parked car. Now, due to the way the sun was, you know, the angle of the sun, the brightness of the sun, the reflection off the windshield. I actually could not see whether anyone was in that truck. Even when I pulled up and stopped my truck, I could not actually see if someone was in that truck. And I expected that it was empty. I expected it was another false alarm. Because earlier this week, I got a phone call about a truck, and I drove by, and the truck wasn't there. And so then I drove home, and parked right outside my house was a small white Toyota Tacoma. And yet there was no one in the truck. And I said, well, there's no one in the truck. Obviously, PIs don't abandon their cars. Obviously, there was a misunderstanding. It turns out that was just a coincidence. It was a white Toyota Tacoma that it was a different model, different year than the one we saw today. And it just happened to be parked in front of my across the street neighbor's house. And it wasn't the same truck. Anyhow, I guess all I'm saying is there was a whole lot of skepticism in my mind about everything going on here, even up until the point when I stopped my truck to get out. And then when I opened the door, I was like, holy shit, he really is there. This really is my chance. I'm finally going to get him on camera. So I just want to thank David Miscavige deeply from the bottom of my heart for helping ensure that I never run out of content on this channel. I mean, I really do owe the success of SPTV to David Miscavige. He's the #1 sponsor of my channel and the #1 generator of content. Okay. So I'm kicking myself a little bit that when I parked next to this dude, I left enough room for him to pull out. I am of the impression that if you block someone in and you make it hard for them to get out, there might be a criminal, there might be some sort of a traffic violation aspect to that. And I didn't want to physically prevent him from getting out. In retrospect, I sort of wish that I had. I'm not sure. I'll consult with some legal authority to understand if I would incur any liability for, you know, parking a little bit too close to him for him to make a quick getaway. But you see, he almost ran me over there. I mean, he almost did. But anyway, I couldn't even believe that he rolled his window down. He was probably so flustered. He didn't know what to do. He was probably like, wait a second. If I'm acting like a normal person, I should probably not just flee the scene. Let me sort of roll my window down and I can sort of pretend like he's got the wrong guy. And then I think he immediately thought the better of that, and continued to drive away. I'm going to hopefully I've got enough time this afternoon to have Mike Rinder jump on here with me and do a little live chat and have him explain to me some of the details regarding how and why these private investigators operate the way that they do. It does seem to me that these PIs have been tasked with not necessarily following me, but just knowing when I'm home and not home. So, you know, I'll give you guys a little bit of inside baseball. So the house that I live in is in one location on one side of a park, and the property that I work from and record from is on the other side of the park. I'm not telling Scientology and the PIs anything they don't already know, but I'm telling you guys so that this next part makes sense. Over the last month and a half, I get phone calls about the private investigators being parked 1 block down the street from my house when I'm home. When I'm not home and I'm at the property where I work from and record from, I get phone calls about the private investigator's truck being parked on this side street that's like halfway between where I live and where I work. And from that vantage point, they can at least see if my truck is still parked there. I will say I have only once do I think I've actually caught somebody following me. Other than that, it seems like their job is just to figure out whether I'm home or not. And I'm mentioning this because I see some people asking, like, what does Scientology hope to accomplish with this? Like, what are they doing? And I really want an opportunity to have Mike opine on that because I have some opinions, but Mike's the expert on this subject. So I got to tell you, when I first was informed about these guys, I'm always very skeptical. I'm always very slow to believe that something like this is actually happening. And then I find out, no, it's not. It wasn't just my neighbors being suspicious of creepy people hanging out. My neighbors, many different of my neighbors, had actually called the police, and the police had actually approached this guy. By the way, it's more than one guy. It's 2 or 3 guys using multiple cars. And the police had approached these guys, and they had identified themselves as private investigators. And when I found this out, I was like, you're kidding me. I can't believe it. It turns out that proper private investigator etiquette, if you're going to be doing one of these stakeouts, you're supposed to call the local police station and say, hey, I'm a licensed private investigator. I'm working on a case. I'm going to be parked in this area doing some observation. If you get any phone calls about me, that's what's going on. It's a courtesy to the police to basically not have them waste their time coming out and checking up on someone who's performing legally protected work. PIs are allowed to stalk you. They're not allowed to harass you, but they are allowed to essentially what would, if you're not a PI, be called stalking you. And it turns out these PIs had not done that. And the police were very annoyed, is the term that I'll use. And I will say this, though. You know, I've been pretty harsh on the Clearwater police lately. And it might seem like I'm about to let them off the hook. And I'm not going to. Because whereas I know the police don't have to identify these PIs for us, the police never even made contact with me and said, hey, just want to check in with you. Got some phone calls. Looks like these guys are, you know, basically surveilling you. Just want to let you know, technically it's legally protected activity, so we're not going to be able to do anything about that. But hey, just let us know if anybody crosses a line, if anyone's following your children, if anyone's doing any of this, just let us know. Here's our number. Apparently, a sergeant from the Clearwater Police has even been assigned to this case. And when I say case, I mean my neighbors constantly calling the frickin' police on these PIs who have started to harass some of my neighbors. The fact that a sergeant from the Clearwater Police has been assigned to this and said sergeant or any other officers have never made contact with me personally, I'm sorry. That's just inappropriate. That's just totally inappropriate. Now, some of my neighbors have been like, oh, I spoke to the chief of police and he said this is unacceptable and this is not okay and they shouldn't be harassing Aaron. It would have been nice to get a phone call or a little visit from anybody in the Clearwater Police. You know, it's not like I'm expecting the Clearwater Police to handle my business for me. I don't give a damn. But I'm just saying, I've been pretty hard on the Clearwater Police, and it would be nice for them to stop giving me reasons to continue to be hard on them. I don't need them to have my back, but it would be nice just to see them doing, you know, the bare minimum that you would expect them to do is all I'm saying. Especially since we have a Clearwater City Council member who is one of these people, Scientology, is probably harassing, and you still have the Clearwater PD not going above and beyond to counteract the impression that people have that the Clearwater PD is in the pocket of the police. It's like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. The perception of the Clearwater Police is in the hands of the Clearwater Police. And I just think they should be doing a little bit of a better job. Let me see. What are some other questions that people ask me about this? I don't want to make this too long-winded, guys, because I'm going to try to do a chat with Mike Rinder about all this as well. But I have been told by the neighbors who've been taking pictures of these guys and confronting these guys and everything, that these guys have been hanging around for no less than 6 months. Can you imagine Scientology, David Miscavige, paying these private investigators just to keep track of whether I'm home or not? If I was a Scientologist living here in Clearwater, I would be absolutely furious that my tax deductible donations, my donations were being paid to surveil a guy who pretty much tells us where he is and what he's doing at all times anyway. You know, just the nature of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Like, I'll tell you what, Scientology, if I'm live on YouTube, you know exactly where I am because you know where I record from. And and my neighbors not only take photos of these guys. So even last week when I got a phone call, I was here at the property where I record from, and I got a phone call saying, hey, I just, you know, I'm on my lunch break. I just drove by the intersection. The PI is right there. Just wanted to let you know. And I said, and I thought to myself, and I texted the person back and I said, yeah, but how do you know? How do you know that's the PI? How do you know it's not just a worker in a pickup truck? And she goes, because the guy who lives in the house went outside and said, who are you? Can I help you? And the PI said, I'm a private investigator. I'm working on a child custody case. That's the story that the PIs have been telling everyone. I'm working on a child custody case. Now, for you experts in the chat, let me know. I'm under the impression that the PIs might have a legal obligation to identify themselves as PIs, but they don't obviously have a legal obligation to, be honest about what it is that they're working on. And if anyone ever wondered, like, is it possible the PIs are working on some other case? I mean, no, no, it's not possible. And what was funny is if someone wants to go, well, how do we know that was a PI? Like, he could have just been some poor gentleman taking a break on the side of the street. He didn't seem to be particularly curious about why somebody would be banging on his window, did he? Like, if you're just chilling on the side of the street on your lunch break and some dude jumps out of a truck banging on your window, wouldn't you be like, what's going on? Who are you? Do you know me? What's the matter? He seemed to know exactly who I was, didn't he? And I'm just laying all this out just to sort of answer any questions that people have of like, how do you know that is who you thought it was? So, that's the phone call that I got this morning, guys. It was, hey, the PI is back, because they park outside my neighbor's property so often that my neighbors know which vehicles it is, and they know which PIs are in the vehicles. So when I got the call earlier this week, it wasn't even, oh, I saw the truck I usually see. It was, no, I saw the guy that I usually see in one of the trucks that they use. So it was very specific. That's why I went on camera before I even left the house, because I wanted to get it on the record. Okay, guys, we're looking for a white four-door, a white Toyota Tacoma parked right here at the intersection. The neighbor said they were there in the morning. They said it's a truck they see regularly. It's a person they see regularly. And that's why I jumped out the way that I did. I cannot believe I got him to roll his window down and say something. Also, you'll see the license plate. I'll put the license plate in the description down below in case anybody wants to help me find out his actual name. If I get his name and his identity, I can get his PI license number, and I can actually make that information public. Shit, I just totally lost my train of thought. What was my train of thought? Oh my God. I totally just lost my train of thought. I jumped out of the truck. The guy. Oh, did you notice he had his little earpiece in? I have to ask Mike if does that earpiece, is that just connected to your cell phone, or is that a walkie-talkie? And there's almost certainly multiple PIs. As soon as this guy drove away, about 3 minutes later, we were hanging out because I was waiting for one of the neighbors to come back. Another Escalade looking vehicle. It wasn't an Escalade, but it was an Escalade looking vehicle. Came driving up the street. Didn't seem to suspect that I would still be there. They saw my wife there as well. And then they sort of stopped, and then they're like, well, shit, we can't back up now. And then they kept driving slowly. And then they sort of waved, which could have been, just sort of a misdirector. And I was like, well, that's not the same vehicle, but they're driving pretty suspiciously down this pretty small, low traffic residential road with blacked out windows. And I have all that on camera as well. But since I'm not totally sure that that's one of the PI vehicles, I didn't show that video. So anyway, a lot of excitement going on here. Yeah, I mean, guys, this is literally the first time. So I officially departed Scientology in 2014. What year is it? Is it 2023? I'm not good at math, guys. I grew up in a cult. Is that 9 years? In 9 years, I have never personally observed a Scientology private investigator surveilling me or following me, even though some of the website stuff that they post about me makes it clear that it has happened from time to time. I'm just so excited. I'm just absolutely so excited. Okay, Catherine S. On a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfying was it to catch him? An absolute 10. An absolute 10. Back up with a super sticker. Thank you very much. Ragdoll Ralph is there an age tendency for these PI guys or what? There does seem to be an age tendency. They all tend to be middle-aged white men. I'm not sure why that is. Usually it's middle-aged fat white men, but that guy wasn't fat. Some of the other PIs are fat. Not there's anything wrong with that. Okay, thank you, Ragdoll Ralph. All right, let's see. Fabian Angel, you are in Florida. Time to stand your ground with some good old Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Triangle the shit out of him. And David Miscavige, greetings from Holiday. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you. Yeah, I suspect that some of my neighbors who, how do I say this? I suspect that some of my neighbors have agreed to cooperate with Scientology in these efforts. Not the neighbors who I'm in touch with, some of the neighbors who I'm not in touch with. And I have my suspicions about that. And if I can develop that information further, I'll make it public. Thank you, Fabian. Graham O'Keefe, keep making that Miscavige money. That's right. Indeed, Graham. John Sostowski. I'm sorry, John. I can never remember how to pronounce your name. One of these days, you have to email me the phonetic spell, how to say it phonetically. Nailed it. Do you think the PI is a subscriber? You know, I think the PI probably is a subscriber. And now that I have released his license plate and his photo on the internet, I'm suspecting he might be a subscriber without a job. I wonder. That's one of the things I want to ask Mike about. When a PI gets publicly exposed like this, will Scientology keep using them or not? I suspect not, but I'm not sure. Thank you, John. Alec Medina, are these PIs part of Scientology themselves, or does the cult have a call list of agencies friendly to them? Does Scientology typically try to bug homes? Thank you for the question, Alec. So these PIs are not Scientologists, and Scientology themselves don't even directly hire the PIs. They hire attorneys who will hire other attorneys who will hire PIs. And that way they keep arm's length relationship and plausible deniability. You know, in the past, there have been circumstances, examples of Scientology bugging people's phones and bugging people's homes. I do not have a high degree of confidence that that's something they're doing right now, but you never know. It's safe to assume that it is. And also, I do somewhat suspect they probably put a tracking device on my truck. I've got to figure out how exactly to determine for sure whether that's happening. But it's just always safe to assume that it is happening. And anyway, I'm glad to help keep people employed. Okay, Will Gunn, merch idea, shirt with, how do you keep a Scientology PI busy? Read other side. I love it. Printed on both front and back. That is really funny. Thank you for that. Okay, scrolling, looking for more. Okay, guys, it looks like that's all we've got. All right, so some excitement, a whole lot of excitement. Again, thank you, Miscavige, for making sure I don't run out of things to do videos about. Thank you for keeping SPTV in business. Guys, if you're watching and you haven't hit the like button yet, please hit the like button. And after I end this video, please just click on the next video that is suggested. That is one of my videos. And let's see if we can smack the YouTube algorithm around to get it to behave a little more friendly towards me right now. All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll be back very, very soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right